So I'll wait till Nikki gets back, but I'm hoping some of you had a chance to read over those. It's just they're each a summary of each of the meetings and each of the decisions taken. There were some decisions rescinded and others, redone. So it's a complicated mess, but we're trying to work our way through it. So hopefully when Nikki gets back, I'll ask her to move for approval of those minutes.
Mike, it's less. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I looked at paragraph 4 in researching the air quality study grant, Kaplan discovered that only 20,000 of the 50,000 restricted funds were earmarked for her project. When I quickly read that, it made me think that the air quality study grant was 50,000, but in fact, it's only 20,000. So the 50,000 you're referring to is the whole is the balance of the restricted funds.
Yeah.
So it just
no, not the balance. No, well, yes, it's the entire amount, and then the 20K out of that amount was for the
right. So it just seemed to, on quick read, one might think that the grant was $50,000. So I don't know, just wordsmithing. That's all.
I can play with that. I'll go back and look at that. Thank you. That's on the second set of minutes. I think you're talking about.
Yes, I'm sorry, June 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Erica, she's trying to log in now, but I can probably go ahead and get started just in the interest of time.
Yes, please.
All right, let me see if I can share my screen. Sorry.
President Zimmerman, while Monique is doing that, I had mentioned that we were going to try to pass the minutes for the approve the minutes for the last 2 special meetings today.
Okay.
All right, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give a brief overview, these are our account standings right now. So the restricted funds account, this is where generally the monies for grants were held. And so that total was at $56,513, as you can see here. Our operating account, this money is substantial because we had just moved over our PayPal account. So current total for the operating account is at $34,044.18. And then we have our youth council account that we've had for quite some time. And general standing was around 8,000, and then we had a donation of 5,000 come through at the beginning of this year, so which puts them at this one. So the 2 accounts that were mainly kind of are in question was the restricted funds account. We had talked about kind of figuring out where this where the money for the 56,000 had came, and since Erica and I kind of inherited the position, it has always kind of been at this amount. And we were told that this is where we typically house the money for our grants, or kind of kept that separate. In researching kind of where this, how that total became what it was, we started back in 2020, which at the time, the account started at about $2,000. And so the significant kind of increases or deposits that we had noticed were around the time of June, as we kind of expected with everything going on with social justice during that time. And from that, we found that through 2020 to roughly the 2022, there was a total of around $78,000 that had kind of funneled through our accounts. And then from that, a large majority was pushed into the restricted funds at different times. From the restricted funds, we noticed that there were 2 fairly large donations. And unfortunately, when we called the bank to see if we can get a little more background as to, like what these donations are. And so I just kind of pulled a highlight of the ones that were, that kind of stood out. First one was this EDI Tides Fund Foundation, and that was for $19,350. We believe this one might be kind of where that grant was, but At this point, we're not exactly sure. The bank couldn't give us too much information other than they don't save the copies of the check from this far back, other than, like the name of it and the amount that was deposited. So this is one that we were going to lean into. It kind of was on par with what Karen was saying what the grant was, but at this point, we're still not exactly certain. Another one donation that stood out was for, sorry, my slides got a little out of order. Sorry, hold on, let me pause this for a second.
I don't know, for some reason that I think that she's right, or their guesstimate is that where that was a grant. It said Tide, and I remember someone saying Tidewater, that this grant came from the Tidewater.
The Tidewater is who we use to get our our grants through, because they are a 501c3.
Gotcha.
So so we use them for that. So they would have gotten the money, and then they would send they'll take out their fee, and then they'll give us the rest. So
Gotcha.
the 20K that you see, the 20K that you see is for the is for Karen's survey. So the monies that we're discussing this evening is the 13,000, which we were already cleared by virtue of VP Camblin to have that money go into our operational funds. And we did I believe we did a motion for that 13.
Monique, I just wanted to let you know that you are sharing not your screen, but the Zoom.
So, yeah, sorry, I had to, sorry, sorry, I had to pull another bank statement, but I also had some work stuff up here, so I was just putting it on the screen. I knew it staged to share.
I just didn't know if you knew.
No problem. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. All right, so I'm back now. Okay, so the EDI payments, this one came through in September of 2020. There was another one, I pulled the invoice here. I think this one. Of February of 2021, another substantial check was for $20,000. And this one was just noted as a counter deposit. So it really doesn't give us much to go off of, like, was this a grant? Was this just a donation from someone? It just came through as a counter deposit. So again, not really sure where this one came from, but in hearing what Nikki was saying about how we use Tidewater to kind of funnel the donations and they take a percentage or however that works, maybe that's why the number was off. But I do believe that amount was earmarked for the grant. So we are safe to kind of have that 13 that was approved to be moved over. I don't think that was part of.
Yeah, we didn't grant. For the 13. We had already made the motion to have that moved. The amount in question was that remaining 23.
Yeah. So
that we were trying to figure out. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, so yes, so we did not move the 13. I'm sorry. I guess Eric and I misunderstood it. We thought that we weren't moving anything until after we presented what we, our findings. But so that total doesn't reflect that 13. But sorry, I've got little ones over here. Sorry. Now, as far as the 23 is concerned, so again, it was around $70,000 that we found had came through in the period of the 2-year span. And a lot of the other donations, I saved this sheet here. Hold on, can you keep it down just 1 second? It looks like perhaps there was some type of fundraiser that happened through Facebook. I don't know if anyone else has any background or is familiar with that.
Yeah, we did a fundraiser we did 2 fundraisers. One was for a family. This was on behalf of the education committee. So there was a family in Prince George's that was needing some money. It was a bus incident, from what I remember, a school bus incident. and they were getting a lawyer, they were getting something, but it was Sean had to, we couldn't make it a NAACP fundraiser. So what he did was he made it a personal fundraiser, and all the monies that he collected, because I did the same thing in 2020, all the monies that he collected from his personal fundraiser, he sent it to the branch.
Got it. Okay.
So that's why you see a whole lot of Sean Perrimans for that time. It was for that that incident in Prince William for that family.
Okay. So yeah, there was quite a few that, thank you. That definitely explains why there was around like $20,000 coming through for through that Facebook fundraiser. So there was a significant amount of money that was coming in, and during that time we were also transferring money into our I don't know like how much actually went to the family or what, but also during that time there was we were transferring money into our restricted funds account. So like for example, like here back in June, we were transferring around $14,000 to that account, and that just looked like that was donations that were coming in. So it does look like we did receive a substantial amount of donations. How they decided what was being transferred over and what was being saved or put to the side, still uncertain, but it's, for the most part, they were donations that looked like came through. And the donations had ranged from up to $5,000 to, small nominal amounts. So there was nothing else significant as in any other grants that we had noticed.
Okay, so with that said, we are clear for the 13,000 from STIU. So that should be moved because we already did the motion for that. Do we have any questions for Monique in relation to the 23?
Well, I have a question, just real quick. I assume that these deposits were eventually given to the family. Do you see where that happened?
I don't see at any one time where a substantial amount of money had been taken out. But I know through, like, at least when we had did a similar fundraiser with President Lee, it was as the money was coming in, the money was going out. And so there were like around $6,000 that was being withdrew, but it didn't say, there was no background as to where that went.
And some of that wasn't for the family, because you remember during the pandemic, we were bringing in a lot of money. That was probably our most fruitful, if you will, time of getting donations. So if anything during the pandemic, people were just giving us money hand over fist, really.
Don't we have any written reports from the treasurer that describes any of this?
Not from what I have seen. Erica does have a treasury log. I'm not sure if, I'm pretty sure if she would have noticed something on there.
There is I know you said Erica was trying to join. There's an Etta Wilson in the waiting room. Is that her, you think?
No, that's one of the presenters.
Okay.
Sorry. Hold on.
They're gonna come in and do a sound check at 6:45 and to go over their slides real quick. So let's continue the discussion on the 23K. Is there any further discussion on the 23K?
Monique, just to be clear, were the section other withdrawals, debits, and service charges. So that is $14,817 going out of our checking account.
It's going out of our checking account into so since there's two accounts, it goes out of the checking, but it was going into the restricted funds account. So this was from our operating account. It was going into, so we had pushed 14,000 into that account. Sorry, that was Erica calling me right now. So let's see.
Yeah, it really does raise the question where we should have seen an amount that shows what would have gone to this family somewhere.
Sorry, hold on.
But this is just 1 month's report. So.
Okay, any other questions about the transferring of the 23K before we make a motion to move the 23K that is remaining in the restricted account? Any other discussion that we need to have?
I don't understand what we're doing.
Say it one more time, Mary.
I'm sorry, I
think-
just don't understand what we're doing, but I didn't see the minutes to the last two.
Oh, okay.
I'll
So
just
we
not
have,
vote unless I understand it.
oh, okay. So in our restricted account, we have 56K. 20K belongs to Karen for her survey. That's a grant. 13K came from SCIU. And SCIU has said now, hey, you can take that 13K and use it as you want. It doesn't have to be in the restricted. So
Okay.
that leaves an available and unclaimed 23K. So the meeting tonight was to discuss the findings of the treasurers, because they were, when we talked about it before, they were going to go back and do a little research to find out the origins of that money, find out the genesis of that money. And then we were going to come back tonight and discuss the origins of the 23K. And if everyone agrees, make a motion to have that 23K moved to our operation funds. Did I answer everything, Mary?
I guess, and the report was that they weren't sure where it came from, or it came from fundraising that we did, and I didn't hear an answer to where it came from.
Monique, can you give Mary kind of the long and short of what you all found as far as the 23K?
For the we had received a substantial amount of donations during that time, so we're attributing that to donations. Unfortunately, we can't see what the images of the checks were, that anything over the 5,000 that it came in to see, like, you know, if it was earmarked for a donation or what had been denoted on there. But we did pinpoint the ones that came through as a grant and how much that was. And so the rest, as far as we're concerned, we're contributing that as donations that along that were received during that time. Now, there was also a question about if we had if there was a Treasury logbook. So we had inherited a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet essentially kind of just matched the bank statements. So there weren't any like more detailed that were provided on the spreadsheets that like was elaborated into the bank statements. Sorry, and I put Erica here. She's on mute. She's saying she could hear me. Can you hear? Can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay, so when we inherited it, Michelle had a couple of share drives that she had been sporadically updating and trying to keep up to par. And then the previous person who was the treasurer, a number of the data that had come in was on QuickBooks, and we kind of like counted it as a loss because we couldn't get in contact with her. However, on the share drive, there was some updated data that Michelle may have tried to keep up to date as it pertains to like monies in and monies out. So is that what you're asking about? Hello?
Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful.
Okay.
All right, so are there any more questions?
Yes. My question is, I understand the logs aren't really definitive, but might there be minute notes from meetings that indicate how much was sent to this family? Just to cover off the basis that we didn't collect it and didn't pass, you know, to make sure we did in fact pass it on to this family.
If there are meeting minutes, that probably will be from the individual who took meeting minutes at that time. I can see if there are any treasurer notes that she may have had, right, in the share drive that may coincide with the receipt of the funds itself. It was kind of sporadic. So we have some stuff from 2017, we have some information from 2019.
So just to clarify, Erica, on our account, remember that fundraiser or the Facebook fundraiser that we saw from Perryman? They were saying that money was earmarked for a family. So that was in question of, you know, like how much was actually sent out to the family. We were uncertain of, you know, like if that fundraiser was for during COVID relief or for a family. We had no recollection when we were looking at it. So we can go back a little further and see in the Treasury notes if there was anything that was earmarked for the family. all that we were noticing was that it was a fundraiser during that time that was also generating income.
Yeah, we
Right.
had
And
different fundraisers at that time. We had a number of fundraisers during that time, and again, because we couldn't use the branch, we would use, we'll set it up, and then, but it's for different things. So one of them was for the family, and then it could have been other things. We're talking almost 5 years ago. Well, over 4 years ago at this point. So in the interest of time, because we talked about this one thing for a half hour,
Wait,
what is it that?
if I may, Nikki?
Yes, please.
If I can just, I'm happy to volunteer to look back at the minutes, assuming that they're in our Google Drive. And it is possible that we may need to, revisit this. We have the authorization now to move the 13,000 that we agreed upon last time, which has not yet been done, from restricted funds to operational account. That would put us, at 47K. And that's a pretty good number for us right now. If there's still concerns about the 23K, I'm happy, along with Erica's going to do what she can, and I'm happy to go back and look in the minutes, try to determine if the minutes have provided any insight into that. We could also go back and talk to our secretary at the time, who was Teresa Little, and see if he has any additional insight. So I think what I'm
We
hearing
could put this on ice until next month, for the next,
You have a shared drive. I know, like I said, this is a shared drive, is what it shows me. Information 2018, something 2017, a little from 2019, 2022. It's kind of sporadic. So, yeah.
I would like to suggest that, yes, like Nikki was saying, that for now, let's shift the 13K from restricted to operational, which we've already approved. That was the SEIU money. Let's hold off on the shifting the other 23K until at least we have a chance to do a thorough search of the documents. And we'll come back at our next executive committee meeting and make a report about that. That's my recommendation.
Okay, I will accept that, because we do need to move forward.
Second.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the next order of business, when you all move the money out of PayPal, were you able to close PayPal down or open up a new one? Because we have to do that and then update the website. Go ahead.
So with PayPal, so basically we moved, as you probably only reported on, we moved the fund. What we did find out is that, and we wanted to bring back to the table because we didn't want to make a decision, right, without sharing with you guys. We found out that in order for us to maintain the same PayPal, of course, because without having any interruptions in the donations, and things like that, we could do that. However, the crutch is getting Michelle's photo ID, which is what I shared with them, which is I don't think we're going to do that. So, in reference to setting up a new one, it doesn't appear to be a long drawn out thing. Monique and I will go through the process, Nikki, but we would designate you as the person.
Let's get together.
Right? As the president.
Monique, what'd she say?
I was saying that we would just get with you, and Monique, and make sure we are able to bring all the information, because we'll need your social security card. You'll need your social security card, right, to set this up as well, and go through the process through the line to sign up for a new account. That's what we discovered speaking to PayPal, the customer service representative. So closing it out didn't seem like it was an issue. We would just need to set up a whole new account, and whomever, and we designated you, of course, Monique, Nikki, to be that person.
My question. So what? In order for us to keep it,
So the President Lead had it in the NAACP name. So we do have the option of keeping that account. However, we needed a photo ID. So since we told her we probably won't be able to get that information. They have no problem from Michelle. Yes.
Michelle, yeah.
So,
Can't we get a photo ID?
Do they have anything?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do they have anything in place if the person who opened it passed away? Like, what will be the procedure for that? So we can probably keep that if we can't get a photo ID because they're no longer here.
She did, all she said was what this woman said. This woman said that we would need still Michelle's photo ID along, and that's where it kind of like we stopped there because, well, basically she said we're going to need the photo ID from Michelle in order to maintain the existing account, swap your name out, right, to be the current person on the account. And then right then and there, we all ultimately knew that if we couldn't get a birth certificate, I don't have an ID of Michelle's, right? So that's where we're bringing it back to the table that, okay, it seems as if we're going to have to just open a new account. She did mention, because I said I want to make sure that we don't stop the flow of the donations. You know what I mean? Having issues with that coming in. She said, because the email address will be the same. Some of the information will be the same as far as the email address on the PayPal, that it would not be an issue or interruption of those donations that are coming in. Was that clear? I'm sorry.
Monique, I heard what you said. Let's me, you, and Monique talk offline. Would if you're able to jump on, because I want to revisit trying to salvage the account and see what else they can take outside of her ID.
So what else, Nikki, would they be able? What do you think they would be able to take other than her ID? Do we have?
Well, we went through the same thing with Green Geeks,
right.
Going back and forth with them, and eventually they granted us access to change it, but they also told us everything that we needed. So we needed the credit card information, the new address. We had everything basically that they needed. So if we can go back to PayPal and ask them, what is it that we need outside of an ID, any kind of other documentation, can we provide them with?
I mean, clearly I can probably get online right now while you guys are talking. So I can ask that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So for now, we'll just keep the PayPal as it is. We'll just keep the PayPal as it is until we get a definitive answer to all the avenues and for us to keep the PayPal before we close that one down. But the email that we use for that, we use communications, correct? Or do we use Treasury's email?
Erica, do you know?
The email for
the PayPal, yes.
Let me say it's Treasurer, but let me double check.
Okay, cool. Okay, so while Erica is doing that, so where we are now is we're going to revisit the 23K restricted funds after Mike and the treasurer do a little more digging. And we'll discuss that at at our next XCOM meeting. Okay, so we're waiting for the PayPal and things information. Okay, let's discuss the convention. We have a convention next month, the 13th through the 17th. And ideally, we would like to send 3 people and pay for Ms. Pat Robinson's registration in order to go to the convention. Before we do that, we need to set a budget for the convention to see how much we are prepared to allocate per person. So Mike, do you let me go to the convention website. The hotels were going for around 200 or, you know, 2 something per night, depending on when they get there. And then the flights, I haven't checked any flights, but Mike, can you let us know how much the registration is?
I don't have that information in front of me, but it's
Okay.
I think approximately let's say 250 per person.
Okay.
with-
How much do you all will you all be comfortable with allocating per person? Ideally, we would like to cover, you know, the hotel and the flight at the very least. And one of them, I believe Sujatha has to go to, or whoever's going to represent the branch has to go to that to the gala, because they're going to accept the Tallhammer Award on our behalf. So I would throw out a number, and I would say 1,200 per person. That's how much we would spend, and everything else will fall on them. I'll open it for discussion.
How many nights will people be in hotels? Is it 3 nights, 2 nights?
I think it's 3 nights for yeah, generally that's what people do for the convention, arriving the night of the opening. Some stuff is free. So
They have,
the
so
opening reception, and then the next 2 days are full of activities, including a delegate meeting where they pass resolutions and things like that. And then the
Right.
third day is usually wrap up, ending by noon.
right, I'm just trying to get to a number here. So is there a group rate of what, 250 a night, something like that? Because that would be about 750. And then you've got your registration 250, so that's 1,000. So
That's 1,000.
airfare.
I was going to ask how much, is it in Las Vegas?
It
Yeah.
is.
Because I just went there in February. It was like $600 round trip. So I can check on the, let me check and see what the fare is going to be.
Well, that's why we're just going to allocate a blanket amount. You know,
Okay,
we're
and then
saying,
just let
yeah,
them,
yeah,
okay.
and everything else you pay for. We're
Okay.
saying, well, my number that I gave was 1,200 per
Okay.
person, except for
Okay.
the one that we're only doing a registration for. But
Okay.
1,200 per person, that is what the branch, you know, will be able to give, and whatever else comes out of your pocket.
Okay.
Is this for the delegate, or it's just for the other
Yes,
3?
we're
Well,
trying to
I
send.
guess when I hear that a person is going as the delegate for the branch, I would think that all of their expenses should be paid because they are
I would
representing.
too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe we need to have more definite numbers to have an amount to approve. What do you think? I mean, so you want to pay all
What's
of
been
the,
our past history of paying? We didn't pay anything.
Well, in the past, we didn't pay for everything for them. So this year, to, you know, say, again, this is my number, you all can change the numbers as you see fit. In the past, I think we've only done registration and they pay for everything else. Mike, can
and
you
when you
please
say
correct
they,
me?
are you referring to the delegate or for the
Yeah, whoever
3?
went. Yeah, whoever
I got
went, they typically would pay for themselves, and they get, you know, a certain amount reimbursed back to them. Oh man, what did I just do?
It has varied in the way we have done it as a branch over the 10 or so years I've been here, but most recently last year, I think Michelle Leet was of the opinion, as Lenore was, that we should pay for as much as we can for for delegates, right? So we got what do you call it? Like a stipend. We each got a stipend of $1,000. This was in Boston. You could make your arrangements. You didn't have to stay at the headquarters hotel. You could stay at an Airbnb if you wanted to, you know, and, you know, get whatever flight you wanted to, or discount, or even drive, which is what I ended up doing. But so what you had, and that also had to include your registration fee too. Maybe I'm trying to pull this all up here, but it's very confusing the way that National does it. But it may be that the registration fee is only $175, but it's around $200.
Monique, you had your hand up?
Yes. Erica,
Yeah, oh no, I was just getting ready to say, I know I hear things about how it's been done in the past, and then mentioning Vegas and things like that, but is there a way that we can just, is there a designated person like the secretary or someone who can just get a quote for everybody? And then we would be able to kind of like narrow it down like Lenora mentioned about how much it would be. Is that possible?
It is, but everybody may not fly from the same airport using the same airline.
Yeah.
So, or stay in the same hotel. So that's a heavy lift. If everybody's probably going to be separated once y'all get there.
Is it possible that the individuals who are going to attend can come back with their numbers? That they've looked at how much it would cost to book and what hotel they're going to be staying at?
Exactly. That sounds good too.
I mean, yeah. I don't see why we can't.
Well, are you going to give them a stipend before they go or after they come back?
Well, once you get an estimate, and I think we all know, even at work, everybody comes up with what they go out and they get their information, they bring it back. We have a department that looks at how much your cost is. They then say, hey, maybe you need to consider another hotel because this is kind of high. You know, it goes through that process. So I think that each individual, as Lenore mentioned, does it. Like you said, President Zimmerman, basically they may be leaving from DCA, BWI, or Dulles. You know, we just don't know. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, Mary, the stipend, all of that would be put into that travel estimate. You know what I mean? Of what it would be at that time.
And then we can provide them with the funding up front, but then.
Well, that means if you do as an estimate,
if I may, we would provide them with the funding up front, and then they have to come back to the treasurer with their actual receipts. And so if some money has to be sent back, then they have to give it back.
Right. So I think, yes.
I just wanted to say that I kind of like the idea of a stipend because, you know, if I have sort of a blank check, I'm going to stay at the Bellagio, whereas someone else might be more frugal and decide to stay at the Luxor or something, you know, a lower end hotel. So to some extent, if we could put some kind of you know, I know we love everyone and know everyone will do their best, but you know, again, it's a thought.
Well, let me do this. I'm the one who gets the information from National. They're supposed to provide a whole packet with all the information you're asking about. I'm not finding it, but they might have sent it to me and I haven't put it aside yet. So
they put it on the website, the different hotels and what they're charging and the different, because they've given different hotels different types of discounts, 10% at the most that I've seen. As well as several airline companies, United, I believe it's United, Delta, and I want to say Southwest and American. They put a 10% discount on certain flights for them. But again, that would, for me, the simple answer is give them a certain amount of money and then let them get their stuff, you know, let them do what it is they do. I don't want to overcomplicate things.
And then if they
once you start digging in the weeds, looking for flights for people, you're doing too much.
Right.
Well, makes sense. It's just that it would be better if we had some good information on what everything costs. We're just making some guesses at it, but maybe they're good guesses.
Yeah, they're on the website.
So Nikki, okay. Are we saying they get a budget of $1,200 and anything outside of that is what they will be covering? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. Okay. And I'm just going to add, if they are a delegate, I don't think that that's what they should be doing, getting money out of their own pocket. And I think I'm referring to you, President Zimmerman. I don't see why you are having to pay if you are going as the delegate.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. And as we've done in the past, it's changed from, president to president on how we do it. like I said, President Lee did $1,000 stipend, you know, up to $1,000 last year for people. We've had presidents that said we're only paying registration for people. We've had presidents that said, you know, we've actually done just registration for as many years as I've been here. The only time, and I was blown away when Mike said that Michelle approved $1,000. So
I was too last year.
yeah. So for us to come in 2024 and say 1,200, I think that is more than fair at this point, because I believe 1,200, if we're, you know, 1,200 could get them a flight and a room.
Do you know if those who are attending are willing to do that? If they're willing to just take the stipend and pay the rest? Is that known?
I spoke with, so the names that I have who are going is Sajatha, Karen, and I believe Erica, and then Miss Pat Robinson, who we're just paying the registration for.
Pat Jackson. Yeah.
Pat Jackson. I'm sorry, Pat Jackson. So I can reach out to them individually again and say, hey, this is how much, you know, the branch is gonna, you know, give you. If anything is extra, can you pay out of your pocket?
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to do.
Okay.
And can I also say that if the ones who are presenting tonight, you said they were going to come on at 15 minutes till the hour?
But
Okay,
we
I'm
have
just
to
gonna
finish
mention-
this because we're down to the wire for this convention as well. We are absolutely.
Yeah, we should be, it should have the authority to offer that amount and say we're running out of time for making any other decisions.
Yeah, so it's up to you all. Do we need to make a motion, Mike? I mean, Miss Lenore, and then just let them make up their mind whether or not they want to take the offer?
Yeah, I would say yes, you do. Only because if it was currently in the budget, then you would not. But since it's not in the budget, which I understand is correct, is that correct? It's not in the budget right now.
It's not.
Okay, then a motion is required. Okay.
Okay. All right. So can somebody make the motion, please? For okay, do we agree on 1,200? Let's start there. Is 1,200 fair?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can someone make the motion to approve the 1,200 per person for 3 people and the registration for 1?
I would like to.
No, go right ahead, Monique. I'm sorry.
I move to make a motion to approve the registration for 1 person and a stipend of up to $1,200 for 3 people to go to the national convention.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Any abstains? The ayes have it. Okay, let's see if we can get to this next order really quick. We're gonna do the restricted at the next XCOM meeting. We're gonna finish that out. And then we're gonna find out about the PayPal. Monique and Erica we're gonna get together and figure out a way ahead to try to keep the PayPal account. You know, find out. Erica's doing it tonight. She said she was gonna look it up. Do we have enough time to talk about a budget, or do we need to talk about a budget at the next XCOM meeting? Now we're at 9 minutes.
Next XCOM.
I think we need to. We don't have time tonight.
Okay, so next XCOM meeting, we're going to finish out this 23K. We're going to finish that discussion. And then we are going to set the budget for the remainder of the year.
Let me have a question, as we haven't done budgets before. If we want something in housing, should we ask for it for next year? Should we ask for it now?
No, Mike, no. This is just to get us through the rest of the year. So if you need something we're going to set just a dollar amount to get us through the rest of the year. So it's not going to be anything special. We have bills, we have another convention, we have other things. So this is just to get us through the rest of the year. September 14th, we are going to have a strategic planning meeting. We're looking at the location. We're either going to be at a hotel or a library. That is where we will do the budget for next year. and every committee would submit a budget of what you all need to for next year for your programming, your supplies, whatever you need for your committee. But this year is just for us to get through the year. Nothing special. But September 14th is when we will have a strategic planning meeting, and we will set that budget for next year. And every committee will submit a budget that day.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Because we do have to start letting folks in. Yes.
Well, one quick thing, just for the record, based on what Monique showed as the balance of 56,500, instead of it being 23.8, it's actually 26.5 thousand.
Is that minus the 13 that they're moving?
Yeah.
It's okay.
So
Monique, you got that?
I don't think so.
it's the 20 for the air quality grant, 13 for the SEIU, and then 26.5 gets us to 56.5. That was the balance.
23. I think 23. Man. It's 20 plus 13 is 33 plus another 23 is 56.
You're right. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'll go back to the corner.
Okay, anything before we start letting everybody in? Anything before we, okay. Let's start letting folks in.
Everyone or just the ones who are presenting?
The ones who are presenting, I believe it's 4 of them. Let me see if I have their names.
Rita
Colbert. I know Etta Wilson is here. We have Etta Wilson, Rita Colbert, Linneall, Naylor, Rondia, Prescott, and Jenee, Lindner. You know, just let everybody in.
Okay, I think I've let them in. I was just waiting for some to come off mute. Does anyone want to test their audio and their videos, make sure that it's working correctly? The ladies who have joined us for Black Communities of Fairfax.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And Miss Dister?
This is Etta Wilson.
Hello, Miss Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Your audio is fine?
Yes, it's working.
And is there anyone else who should be in the room right now just to test it who's missing?
There should be 4 others.
Okay, and their names? I see a Jenee Lindner. Is
Jenee,
that's one? Yeah, because she and I were playing.
Linneall, Naylor, and Rondia Prescott.
Okay, they are, just a second.
They said they were trying to get in.
Yes, ma'am, I see them.
Okay.
Just wanted to check your audio, make sure it's working.
Yeah, Rita Colbert, is she on? Rita, yeah, I see you.
And Ms. Wilson. Okay, I think you're all on, and we have your presentation ready to display when you say so.
Okay, can you hear me?
I need the bios. I couldn't open up the bios. I saw the email, Miss Lenore.
Oh, but you couldn't open the bios?
No, I couldn't open up. Only thing I could open was the flyer.
I got the presentation. I didn't see the bios.
Okay. Let's see.
If you want to put it in the chat or send it to me in an email, I can forward to.
Let's see.
While we're waiting, are there any committees? Let me know the committees who are briefing tonight. If you're not briefing, I won't call on you. So, housing, do you have anything to brief tonight? Okay, criminal justice, do you have anything to brief tonight?
Nothing new.
Okay, nothing. Okay, budget.
I would only announce the speaker for next month.
Okay. Treasurer Monique, you have anything to brief? Okay, I'll come back. Secretary is going to brief a little. Then Freedom Fund.
Oh, I have nothing this time. I will next time.
No, I want you to the kind of talk about the gala a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Monique, are you on? Okay. So far I have budget, secretary, freedom fund. I'm gonna go ahead and put housing down because Mary has some good stuff coming down the pipeline. Religious affairs, can you brief us on how everything went for Juneteenth?
If I would, could you say if you are not speaking, if you would mute yourself? And President Zimmerman, are you ready for me to let everyone in?
Yes, please. We will begin in 5 minutes. This time people are starting to filter on in. So we'll start in 5 minutes. Mary, are you back?
Yeah.
Are you gonna, do you have anything to brief tonight?
Oh, yeah, I can briefly.
Okay. So I have Budget, Secretary, Freedom Fund, Housing, Religious Affairs, and PAC.
This is Les. Mike,
Yes,
we didn't vote on the prior minutes, did we? From the two XComs.
we sure did not.
We did not, but we can wait till our next XCOM meeting. There's no rush.
You want to do, y'all want to hang out after and just do that?
I would say, I would just go ahead and wait till. our
Just
next-
wait, okay.
And President Zimmerman, there was no PAC report.
Okay, you don't have anything to pack, okay. We will start in 2 minutes. Well, hello, Lynn.
Hello.
Hi, Jenny. Jenny, do y'all have anything to brief for membership tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, we will go ahead and start. My goodness, I'm so excited. I've never been this excited in my life. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I am Nikki Zimmerman, your faithful president. Yeah, I'll start off by reciting our mission. The Fairfax County NAACP is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization whose mission is to achieve equity, political rights, and social inclusion by advancing policies and practices that expand human and civil rights, eliminate discrimination, and accelerate the well-being, educational, and economic security of Black people and all people of color. Okay, so we're going to start with our prayer. We have religious affairs, John or Pat?
I believe Cynthia McDaniel is going to give the opening prayer. Is she here? If not, I will do this.
Go
Cynthia?
for it.
Okay. This is a prayer called Lead Us. Lord, lead us from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead us from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, and our universe. Let us dream together, pray together, and work together to build one world of peace and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Our secretary's report from our secretary, Mike O'Brien.
Hi, everybody. Just a quick ask for a motion to approve the minutes that were provided in one of the announcements of the meeting tonight. These would be the minutes from the May meeting. President Zimmerman, could you ask for a motion?
Yes, sir. Can someone make a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
I
don't
move
see
that we
any
approve
motion.
the minutes from last month's meeting.
Can I have a second? Any abstain? Oh, can I have a second? Anybody second?
Yeah. Second.
Second.
Any abstain? I'm sorry, all in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion? I can't see anybody on this screen except for Mike. What's going on? Okay, thank you. Oh, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Any abstains? The ayes have it and the motion passes.
President Zimmerman, did you want me to make an announcement, or are you going to make that later in the meeting?
I'm gonna do it, Mike, but I want you to talk. I want you to come right behind me and talk about it even more.
All right, just check.
But I do have a spill, but we'll go through the treasurer report real quick.
Okay.
Oh, the treasurer, they said they don't have anything.
Nope, all of our accounts are in good standings. Nothing further to report.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so before we move to the advocacy to the committee reports, again, we welcome you all to our June 2024 Fairfax County NAACP monthly meeting. And this is such an exciting meeting for me, but I'm gonna start off by asking you all, we have about 46 people in county. If you have not, what we're doing is we're collecting the names of the congregations here in Fairfax County. So if you are a member of a congregation, in the chat, please put the name of your church, the name of your lead minister, and a contact number or a contact email, a good one, so that we can reach out and expand our relationships with the faith community. The faith community should know everything we're doing, and we should know everything that they're doing. And when you all put those in the chat, our two religious affairs co-chairs, John and Pam Dister, will capture that and put that in their database to continue to expand our network with the faith community. Gala, we have a wonderful gala that is being planned by our Freedom Fund Committee, and Miss Evelyn Spain, who's the chair, will speak about that a little bit more. But what I wanted to let you all know is that very soon the tickets will go on sale. Very soon we will start to sell advertisements for the souvenir booklet. Very soon we will open it up for a few vendors. If you all have a product to sell, we're opening that up as well. The tickets for the gala are $100 for non-members and $85 for members, and I cannot remember how much the couples tickets were. But we're putting on a promotion, and this is where you all come in. We're putting on a promotion that because we are looking for companies and things to sponsor. And we're even looking for churches to sponsor. I mean, why not buy a table? So Miss Evelyn, could you put the sponsorship packet in the chat for me? And all of you download that sponsorship packet. If you know of a business, if you're, give it to the people at your church so that your church can Harvest Assemblies in the house. We do a lot at Harvest Assembly, so thank you for that. But if you all, Miss Evelyn is going to put the sponsorship packet in the chat. Give it to your pastors. See if they would like to sponsor your church sponsor the event. If you know of any businesses that would like to sponsor the event, please give that to them. And what we're offering is 2 free tickets to you. Once we be able to confirm that the person or company that you solicited to sponsor actually becomes a sponsor, we give you 2 free tickets to the gala. That is, I believe, over $150 or $60 for a couple. So you're getting 2 free tickets for that. So that's that on that. I am so pleased and excited to announce that for the second time, this branch has been awarded the Tallhammer Award, the Dr. Ross Tallhammer Award. The first time we received it was in 2018, I believe. Secretary O'Brien was our secretary then under our president, Kofi Annan. And we did so much that time, during that time, Mike said, hey, I'm going to put us in. I remember the XCOM meeting when Mike, this is before we were all on Zoom, we used to dial in and put in the code. And Mike mentioned the Tallhammer Award, and a few of us didn't know what that award was, but Mike knew what it was. And Mike saw the value in the works that we did that year. And Mike put it together. And in 2018, we won our first Tallhammer Award, and we had a wonderful celebration at Della J's when it was on Backlick Road. We were all there, and we had the award, and everyone took pictures and things. But that was a testament to the hard work that we done and the recognition that we received for doing that work. All of you know that our work is voluntary, and all the work that we do is voluntary, and the compensation that we receive is the works that the tangibles that we see are happening, whether we're challenging a policy and a policy gets changed, whether we're attacking police, use of force. These are the things that we take as payment when we're seeing the fruits of our labor be recognized. So this year, Mike came back and said, we did a whole lot last year under President Michelle Leet. And he said, I'm going to put us in for another Tallhammer Award. And by George, he did. And we were awarded, we got the notification last week that we won the prestigious, very prestigious Dr. Ross Tallhammer Award for a second year. And Mike has really carried us. Mike has done a lot. Mike has been able to illustrate and capture all the things that we do, that we may forget that we do, that we may not write down because it's second nature, because of the work that we've invested ourselves in. Mike captured that. He painted a wonderful picture of the work that we did. And we received a notification of the award. So it'll be more to follow with how we're going to celebrate, when we're going to celebrate, and things like that. But absolutely, it will happen. So I'm going to turn this back over to Mike to give him some time to just really shine. Because again, had it not been for Mike writing the first one and then writing the second one, and even telling us there was an award the first time, we would not have gotten it. And so Mike, first of all, I would like for everyone to throw up a thumbs up or a hand clap or something for twofold. For one, for our illustrious Secretary Mike O'Brien, for the works that he's done. And the second one is for the branch committee chairs for the work that they do, because none of this is possible without the committee chairs' work, without their committees working. So let's just take a quick pause and give a round of applause to Mike and our committee chairs and the branch as a whole and as a family, because we are indeed a family. Mike, you have the floor.
All right, everybody, this is an exciting time. I tell you, when I got that email on Thursday of last week, it was just celebration time. I sent a note out to the executive committee. And for those of you who don't know, that the Tallhammer Award is the highest award that is awarded to branches by the national NAACP. And it is given specifically for branches that are highly engaged with their community and making significant change within the community. And also, to be honest, getting media attention for the types of changes that they are calling for within the community. And so this past year, and it actually, we covered an 18-month span from January 1 of 2023 through May of 2024. So it includes President Zimmerman's term in office as well. The Tallheimer Award is so highly valued, and it is given in different levels of membership. So we have a membership of about 400, sometimes 430, 440. But there are larger organizations that have many more resources to expend. So there are different classifications for the size of your branch. But this is the second time since I've been with the NAACP that we've won this award, which is very unusual for us. We, in fact, apparently won one all the way back, I think, in the 50s. Would have been the last time we had one until 2018, and now once again just 6 years later for 2024. So this is a significant accomplishment, and it's really, I wrote it up, but you all did the work. I mean, as Nikki said, the committees that we really focused on were the activist committees, the housing committee under Mary Payton, the criminal justice committee under Luke, the political action committee under Karen, and the education committee under Sujatha, as well as, frankly, the legal redress, which rarely gets attention because you're really not allowed to talk about who you're dealing with. But we were able to describe the situations that our legal redress committee had taken on in terms of discrimination within the community and trying to provide some redress for people who file those complaints. So it's obviously a team effort. We all did the work. I'm thrilled to have been able to, be able to write it up in a narrative form that would convince the judges that we deserve this award, and we really did. So congratulations to the entire branch. And I certainly am looking forward to working with communications to come up with a press release about this so the broader community can know about it, and then, yes, to celebrate.
Yeah, thank you again. Really quick, do we have any new members? Any new members who are here tonight? Any new members? Raise your hand, please. I can't see everybody. We have 56 people here. Any new members? Anybody? Okay, Naomi. Oh, I'm not a new member. Okay, anybody? Okay, we have Naomi. Oh, Naomi and Bernard. Let's welcome Naomi and Bernard, defined member. Did you pay $30 and became a member? You become a member once you pay $30. That's okay, Connie. We can change that tonight. So let's welcome Naomi, and it was Bernard, I believe. And Autumn, we have Bernard. I'm sorry, Naomi, Autumn, and I believe there was a gentleman named Bernard. Let's have them quickly introduce themselves. We'll start with Naomi and then Autumn.
I think I'm a member. I've been going back and forth with membership to make sure that my dues were paid, but I was a member a long time ago and I'm just now coming back. So,
well, welcome. We have our membership chair, Jenee Igo, who's here. If you would like to find out if you all are still a member or if you all want to become a member, please, you can message her in the chat individually. Okay. And see if she can help you guys out. Bernard, welcome.
Hey, good evening.
Bernard,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome to the branch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I joined actually back in March, but I got my card last week, so I'm official now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, and then we have Autumn.
Hi, yes, good afternoon, good evening.
Hi.
I am a new member, Dr. Autumn Spence here, and I recently joined in May.
Well, welcome, welcome. We have committees that can use you all's as help. So if you all would like to join a committee, please I will stay on after the meeting. For those of you all who have questions about different committees, I'll stay on for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we can take it from there. If you have questions about your membership status, we have Jenee who's here. Please message her individually and she can walk you through whichever way you like to go. All right, so we will go with the, we'll start with the budget committee. Les, you have anything to brief?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Sorry about the video. I'm not sure what's going on. But I just wanted to announce that for our July meeting, we will have as a speaker Mr. Philip Hagen, who is the director of the Fairfax County Department of Management and Budget. As some of you may know, the Fairfax County budget was for fiscal year 2025 was approved in May and will go into effect July 1st. We'll be in a 2025 fiscal year. We'll have Mr. Hagen recap the budget highlights from the 2025 budget during this meeting and give us some background on the process, and we'll open it up for questions and answers, and hopefully it'll be an insightful presentation, which we hope we will be able to get some insight as to how we'll be able to further advocate for our committees in the upcoming budget in the next cycle. That's it, Madam President.
President Zimmerman, you are muted.
Oh, okay. We are going to move to religious affairs.
We just want to report that our Juneteenth commemoration on June 15th was a great success. It was at Bull Run in coordination with Nova Parks. And there was a ice cream social that was given to us by Dominion Power. And there's a good article in the Connection newspaper this week about the event. So if you want to look, if you weren't there, you should come next year. And if you want to see what it's like, you can look at the pictures. So thank you to anyone who helped and to all who attended.
Thank you. Freedom Fund.
Okay, hi, everybody. As President Zimmerman has mentioned, we are going to have a wonderful gala. It's going to be November 2nd at the Tyson's Marriott. As far as the keynote speaker, I'm confirming on Friday that we will have the noted Bakari Sellers. We'll have an MC of the Chief Executive, Bryant Hill. There'll be silent auctions and 60/40 raffle tickets and a DJ for dancing. And then we'll also have some entertainment by the spoken word. We have received a significant amount of sponsorship money, not enough to pay for the entire event, but the IBEW, Builders Trade, and a former candidate for congressman have contributed towards our sponsorship. So we're looking forward to receiving more thanks to President Zimmerman. She's really been knocking on doors and getting the unions to help us with sponsorship opportunities. If you are interested, we are having a meeting on Sunday to go over a demo of what our registration form will look like for our guests and our vendors. And as mentioned earlier, the tickets are, we'll have everything noted at that time. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we're also going to be giving awards. We're going to recognize our veterans. That is so very important per the President's commitment to armed services. We want to thank them for their service to our country. Excuse me. And then finally, we're going to have awards for a church that has done significant community efforts, a young student, whether they are high school or college, a young adult who is, doing extremely well with community affairs, and finally, an organization that is helping out the community as far as sponsorship of housing and protection those type of things. So it's going to be a fantastic program. I urge you to keep that date in mind, November 2nd from 5:30 to 9:30. And it'll be at Tyson's Mall. So, it's always an opportunity to go shopping too, ladies. So November 2nd. If you have any questions, if you would like to be part of our group, I'll put my email in the chat and you can contact me later. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, do you have anything that you need to brief?
Sure, I will. I'll briefly.
Yes, please.
There's two issues that we raised with the Board of Supervisors a couple years ago that are kind of coming up again. One is the heat relief for homeless people and low-income people. And we have made some progress on that. The board has opened up most of the county buildings as cooling centers. They're advertising them better. They're sending out messages to people as to when everything is open. They're opening up the homeless shelters, like hypothermia shelters in the winter, where you can come in if it's too hot and sleep on the floor. So at least you're in some air conditioning. And I think they've done a better job of communicating with the libraries, the rec centers, the community shelter centers. The homeless people may come in there and sit around and cool off, and they ought not to throw them out. They ought to welcome them and say, come on in and get cool and have a bottle of water. So there's a lot more going on in that area, but I'll just say that I think we've had some success over the past 2 years since we passed a resolution on it and took it to the Board of Supervisors. They're definitely paying more attention to it now. The second thing we did a resolution on a couple years ago was asking the board to have the Planning Commission involve tenants as well as property owners when they're putting up a new building next door to where they live, or they're changing the land use, or they're doing something big. And they said they would do that. They haven't seen it written down in a policy anywhere, but they said they would do that, and they are doing it. But right now there's an issue with a data center enlargement out in Sully. And we're pursuing that a little bit because it's right next to a mobile home park. And we don't believe the residents have been notified. It's the same situation that happened in Mount Vernon a couple years ago that triggered our resolution. Now it's happening again. So we're going to remind them of what they promised and what they agreed to do, and what we told them we thought was the right thing to do, that tenants, mobile homeowners, renters are all residents of Fairfax County, and they should have the same rights and as people who own property. We also have been trying to expand our support for workforce housing in the county. The county needs a lot more workforce housing for healthcare workers, education workers, all kinds of people that have jobs in the county and have to commute long distances if they have to leave the county for cheaper housing. We had an excellent presentation just today from an organization in Loudoun County that did a very good press or social media campaign over a period of 2 years, supporting the benefits of workforce housing in terms of changing land use and having more density to allow for smaller housing that would be less expensive. And we had some really good people show up at that who are in a position to maybe carry it forward a little bit and make something like that happen in Fairfax County. So that was really good. We have that recorded. If anybody would like to see it, they can email me at housing@fairfaxnaacp.org. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks.
All right, well, thank you. So we have the clerk of courts here this evening, Mr. Chris Falcon. Just want to quickly acknowledge you. There you are. Would you like to say anything?
Nikki? Good to see everyone tonight.
Okay. Would you like to share anything with us? Anything coming down the pipeline with the courts that we should know?
Absolutely. If I can do this in 30 seconds, because I know we have some awesome guests that I really want to hear from. But we have a very exciting announcement starting on July 1st, and you all will see this coming out in the news. We are releasing our free online case information program, eCase Search. So for those of you that may not be aware, Fairfax Circuit Court right now, if you try to access civil and criminal case information, you have to go through a program called CPAN or visit the court in person or call the courthouse. So starting on July 1st, you'll also be able to access that information now for free on your phones, on your computers, by just landing on the website and searching cases by party name, searching cases by case number, and you'll be able to see the things that have been filed in those cases, the lists of the pleadings, and also hearing dates and times. So we're very excited about that and providing some greater access to that public case information to the public. But for more information, please visit the Fairfax Circuit Court website. I'll put the link in the chat. Good to see you all.
Thank you. And if you have any questions for Mr. Falcon, please send them through the chat, and we'll see if he can answer anything while we're on here. Now we are going to get to the order of business, y'all. Let me tell you, a few months ago, I was at a youth council meeting. I was at a youth council meeting, and we just I missed a group of ladies who were doing a book signing or a book reading, and they left a few of their books with the our youth council advisors. And I came in and I saw it, and I said, "Whose book is this?" And I just started combing through it. And one of the ladies said, "You want it?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Who wrote it?" They said, "Well, they just left. See if you can catch them." And I couldn't catch them, but I kept this book. And as I was reading one day, I saw who wrote it. And I said, well, let me reach out to these women, to these wonderful women, and see if they can come and talk about this book. I got my book, y'all. It's how many? It's 57 people on here. I have my book, so it's 56 to go. This book, y'all, let me tell you, Black Communities of Fairfax. The amount of information in this book about, you know, the Blacks who settled here, the ones who lived here, you know, at what period they lived here, you know, who their families were, where they're buried, you know, just their story, their pictures, it's all in this book. So without further ado, I am going to introduce these ladies, and ladies also, could you all put how to follow you on social media, your emails, can you put those in the chat so we can all just keep in contact with you all, and you can tell us, you know, how to follow you and what you all are doing next. But without further ado, we have Miss Etta Wilson, Miss Rita Colbert, Miss Linneall Naylor, Miss Rondia Prescott, and Miss Jenee Lindner. And Miss Jenee is who I have been coordinating with, who I have been talking to, who has been helping me, you know, as we plan this out. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to show you all my book right here. And I have highlights and all kind of whatnots in it. And I'll take it over to you. Who will be beginning? Would it be Miss Jenee?
No, we'll go right from the beginning. So we'll
Yes,
start
ma'am.
with Etta, and you can take this down so that everybody can see her face. And that way we won't have any slides until we get to me. Okay? We're so happy to be here.
Etta, you're on mute.
Okay. Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is just great. I'm really pleased to be here, be able to discuss this book that I had something to do with. We all came together. We're all cousins, and three of us grew up there, right in that community. The community is right down the street from the Fairfax courthouse. So I grew up there and attended the Rosenwald School, they call it. The elementary school was all Black elementary school. And before that, like before 1870, they didn't even have a school in Fairfax County for Black people. So they created one in Fairfax County in 1870, and then they built one in 1926, and that's the one that I attended. That was financed by Julius Rosenwald, who was the CEO of Sears and Roebuck, and he and Booker T. Washington had a lot to do with that, financing it, and also the Black people of the community got together and contributed to finance this school. And I lived there my entire life, and so I knew everybody. I was related to everybody, either biologically or by marriage. And so I grew up thinking that I was just this person who was just kind of watching everything. And so this book is a culmination of all of the things that I remember. Well, a lot of the things that I remember. I attended school, attended the church. Mount Calvary is a historic church there. And I have ancestors buried in the Germantown Cemetery. So all of this information is in the book. And so I'm really, really, really thrilled that this information is being told. And, you know, the legacy would be lost if we don't continue it. And so I'm praying that it is an inspiration to other people to maybe start something like this, start writing down. I've been doing research on my family for over 40 years. And so I'm really proud that I was able to participate in this. This is really a great project that we all came together on. So I hope that those of you who do not have the book, maybe you'll get it and that you will enjoy it. I'm so happy that people have enjoyed reading it because it is a history book. It is definitely a history. I mean, it gives a lot of information that I didn't know when I was growing up there. I was living in this place and there's so much history there. It's just great. So I just pray that you'll enjoy it.
Hi. My name is Rita Colbert. I'm speaking, but I don't see myself. Okay. Etta, I wrote out this long speech I was going to make to the group, and Etta spoke on everything I wrote down. So all I can say
she grew up there.
My name is Rita Colbert.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was born, raised, educated, and employed within the city of Fairfax. I went to Mount Calvary Baptist Church. I worked at Courthouse Market for a while. I worked at George Mason. I worked for Fairfax County. As part of my contribution, I contributed the pictures for the book, along with help from my family. Their picture albums. I think we did a good job, and I hope you enjoy the book.
Linneall?
Hi. Hello, everyone. If you notice, I was playing my little video. First, I had it on a book background, but I couldn't see my face, so it was just playing magical chairs with me. So anyway, my name is Linneall Naylor, and I am cousins of everyone that's represented in this book. Again, I was raised in Washington, D.C., but I had little idea about my family that were born in Virginia. I knew my grandmother that connects to the Payne family and many other families in Fairfax City and Fairfax County. I knew that she had a lineage tied in to the area of Fairfax. I didn't know a lot about her grandparents and her mother and father, because her mother passed away when she was 12 and her father died shortly thereafter. So I kind of start fresh. And I always tell people I recommend to take an ancestry DNA test, because that's how I was able to connect with Etta, Rita, and Rondia. And I'm so thankful for that. And also Jenee. So I'm so thankful. I have a nuclear family in DC, but I didn't realize I had so many other connections to Fairfax County in the state of Virginia. I have a lot of little tidbits in the book. I guess we all combine together to tell a little bit about our families and how we are connected. I did mention, I can't remember what page it is, but we, on our DNA test, we also DNA connect to a lot of the European families that were our ancestors enslavers, which is the Fitzhugh family, Carter, and the Radcliffe family. Again, they didn't talk about that because when they left when they left Virginia, they probably left all of the history behind. So I am revamping the history of our ancestors, and we are retelling the stories, and we're making it fresh in that way that our ancestors stay alive in our heart. Also, I work for Fairfax County Public Schools. I didn't know about the historical importance about education, again, because I was raised in DC, so I didn't know about any hardship that any of my ancestors may have faced. And if I did know, I didn't know that to that magnitude. So I'm glad to know that my ancestors strive, as well as Etta and Rita and Rondia, that we still are being I want to say we're persistent in making sure that our ancestors' stories are told and they're told correctly. So thank you for allowing me, as well as my other cousins, to share a little bit about who we are. And I know someone asked about the book. We do have copies of the book ourselves if anyone wants to purchase. And guess what? I'm on summer break, so I'll be willing to meet you guys if you need a copy. So thank you again for allowing us to share. And if you get a copy from us, it's autographed. So Amazon is not autographed. So just let us know if you need a copy. Thank you again.
Well, hi, I'm Rondia Prescott. I am actually the cousins of everybody on the book. My little portion is mostly research. I got involved in the book because of Germantown Cemetery and just doing some investigation on my genealogy, and realized as far as Fairfax City and everything, that it was a large community to me, but maybe a small community to others. But it was very rich in history, and it was something that I was really, really proud of. Just learning the different things about, family members that were buried in Germantown Cemetery actually prompted my part in this book, just to find out exactly how many people were in the cemetery. I mean, at first, I think it was maybe 60 people in there that we knew of. And we knew from just family members and obituaries and newspaper articles that it was way more than that. And that kind of spurred my part in this book. So very proud of it. It's a lot of my family in here, and just good information and something to be proud of. So
yeah.
So Jenee.
Let's see. Hi. Hello. What a treat this has been. I'm so glad that what we did was, originally I was involved with a Christian racial reconciliation group during COVID. And we knew that we learned there was a neglected cemetery, African American, as many are, and unfortunately, and so we wanted to start finding people who had been buried there, descendants, and we were able to start programs and actually went and cleaned it. But of course, in the richness of cleaning it, what did we discover? We discovered all these wonderful descendants and all these stories. Well, with my background in history, I decided let's do an article and put this all together. And so, as you can tell, listening to these other women, I mean, they're full of stories, they're full of pictures, they're full of information. And so what happened was when I tried to submit it, they said, you know what, it's just too long. It's just really too long. And then Linneall came up with this brilliant idea of, why not do a book? And I went, well, if we all pray about it. And that's exactly what we've done. We begin with scripture. We collected our information. My piece was that I was in charge of the Fairfax City walking tours and being a Fairfax County historian. So I could at least place their stories in time. And then Rita was a little bit shy about it. Rita has all the pictures. I don't know about some of the other communities in Fairfax County, but in this particular area, people, even to the point now when people die, they will take out the pictures that they want of their families, and then they'll give the photo albums to Rita. So we've got this incredibly rich history that we have just touched the surface. And I think that's one of the nicest things. The history press allowed us to put in a lot more pictures than they normally do, but they were nice to us. And so we were able to do it. And then as Rondia was saying, I really started searching for people. And when they were searching for the people, especially Rondia, Etta, and Rita, they didn't want to just find out their names, their birth and death date, but their relationships. So when you go to the book, originally there were about 50 that they knew of, but by the end, because this last year, the Fairfax Herald was digitized. And then with their extensive research, my gosh, we got over to 180 people. And so you'll see this flow of people that have come, because Fairfax County was a third African-American, and we just have not talked enough about them. We've not given their story. And this is an opportunity for those stories to come out. And personally, as we were looking at all the different families, the Carters, the Collins, the Wilsons, the Colberts, the Paynes, to my surprise, we found out I was related as well. And in discovering that relationship, of course, it probably was not in a positive way that child came to be. I mean, let's be very honest about that. However, as they all said, and we all agreed, since we're all mothers, that child counts. And that child has a voice, and it has a name. And so we have counted all of them, and they are all of us. And so now I didn't realize at the time that I was doing Family File. And what a blessing that has been in my life to find and to recognize the way that we're all pushed, the way that we're all together, and in the many roads that we all go down. One thing we did also in the book is, as they talked about their specific family members, we also talked about, for example, the Little River Turnpike. I don't know if you're all aware of, but who built it? Surprise, it was the African Americans of the county. What would happen is the enslavers would have them hired out, and they would go. However, we did have a large group here that were also freed, which was kind of unusual here in Fairfax County. And that was because you had Fitzhugh, who in 1850, he freed many of his enslaved. Also, you have the Carters, and he was in Oatlands. Many of those were freed. And so you did have this very large, robust group. Of course, what you would do is they would have, on the Little River Turnpike that was being built, they would then come along and they would have blacksmiths, you'd have wheelwrights, they would have produce that they would sell. And keep in mind all those animals that are going to market. A lot of people don't think about it. Fairfax County is right next door to Washington, D.C. So this was kind of your last stop. So if you're coming all the way from the Shenandoahs, which is where, because the Little River Turnpike went all the way to Aldi. And all of you know why it's called Little River Turnpike, right? Because the river in Aldi, guess what it's called? Little. So the Little River Turnpike. I know, it's just like, really? So that 34-mile run, but they'd come here, they'd want to consolidate, they'd want to kind of clean their animals, and then they would take them downtown to Washington, D.C. And it's still the same way today. We are still kind of that satellite. And another group, specifically, I also want to talk about, now can you put up the slides for me? We'll do the slides a little bit. Was about the 1935. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, this is the Fairfax Courthouse in the early 1900s. This was their world. You had several communities surrounding it, but keep in mind, after the Civil War, there was the Freedmen Bureau. And it was there to help protect them. But a lot of people don't realize there were also important organizations that was made in their own communities that would help and protect them, the benevolent associations. For example, if someone got sick and they couldn't work, or if for some reason someone suddenly became widowed or injured. And but it was important that they stayed around this area, especially right after the Civil War. And so that helped create some of the communities that would come. Do the next slide, please. All right, here we have, as the time went on, one important group was called the County Colored Community Association. And these men and women were very active in trying to give rights. Even though by this time Jim Crow had reared its ugly head, they still were very interested in helping and pursuing.
Your sound is going out.
Cooperation.
Miss Lindner, I'm sorry. When you move away from the screen, we don't hear you. Sorry about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. All right. So if you read this, it says, for the first time in more than a half a century, a special grand jury of colored men sat in the Fairfax Circuit Court Friday last and returned true bills against E. Louise Carpenter and her daughter, Mary Carpenter, colored, at presentments for arson. It was in this case that a regular grand jury composed of white returned true bills, meaning that on motion of the counsel for the defendants, that the jury return the indictment has no colored men on it, and that the list from which it was drawn contained the names of no colored men. Judge McCarthy set aside the indictment and ordered a New Jersey jury. This was composed of Alexander White of Sideburn, who was a foreman, Tana Payne, John Pearson, and Henry Page of all of Fairfax, Ollie Tinner and Otis Wade of Falls Church, and James Collins, but it was really Joseph Collins, Merrifield. And this was, can you turn the page, please? Next slide. And here they are. They were very well-respected men. And if you notice Ollie Tinner, he's from Fall Church, Alexander White, Sideburn, John Pearson, Fairfax, Harry Page, Fairfax, then you have Falls Field, and then again in Fairfax. If you could go to the next page, I can kind of give you a little better idea of where they all area. If you look here, you can see Fairfax. It's kind of right in the middle. And then if you go down, you see Merrifield right there. Merrifield, that was where James Collins was located. There's actually a book that's going to be coming out from Marion Dobbins, where she will talk about her relatives that were there. And then above that, you have Falls Church. Falls Church was very, very important. It had Tenor Hill, some of those important areas, and we talk about them in the book. And that had Otis Wade and Ollie Tenor was from there. And then I want you to look down. Do you see between Fairfax Station and Burke? If you go right between the two, that used to be the rail line. Right between there is what a place called Sideburn. And believe it or not, that was a special stop on the railroad. You could put up a sign and the train would stop. This was owned by Alexander White and his wife, which he became the foreman. He had 150 acres, very well respected. And he did very, very well for himself. So I just wanted to show this to you to kind of give you an idea of where they were all from. There was one man, who said he's from Fairfax, but that was John Pearson. He's actually from the Zion area. I don't know if you know where Zion Road is. It's going towards Fairfax Station, but can you turn the page, go to the next one, and I'll help you realize. If you look here, you can see School Street. School Street is right next to the courthouse. And School Street is also next to George Mason University. This is where two of our important jurors were from. Henry Page, and the other one was Antana Payne. Also, there were other communities, and we talk about them in the book. We talk about, besides the School Street area, there's the area that's just above it where it crosses. That's the Germantown area. There were also other areas around in that area. There was an area where the Mott Center is today. And that's actually where Mrs. Hughes, who taught school for almost 50 years, that's where she lived and where she was from. But I just wanted to give you an idea of where people were. Also, if you go down Main Street, there was another area called Ilda. And that was a very well-respected area for fixing your wagons, blacksmiths, and so on. And there's a new book that just came out called A Place Called Ilda, which really goes into great detail, really big shout out to Dennis Howard and the work that he did to make sure that the area was preserved when, again, there were African-American people that were buried there that they wanted to build buildings on it, and the work that they did in trying to preserve that. Okay, can you turn to the next page? Okay, so here we are. Here are the men. I'm going to go just quickly through them and explain even a little more about who they were. They were just men that just lived their lives in a very difficult situation, but still found joy in what they did. They were all very active. I said that they were all united in organizations where they would meet together. They also were very active in trying to make the world a better place. I'm not, so I can only talk this way, huh?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Ollie Tenor, he was from 1899 through 1964. He was born in Falls Church. His grandfather was Charles Tenor. There is also a Tenor Hill, which is very well respected. It was a place where they would go and the family quarried pink granite rock, and it did very well. It did very well. It's also recognized as the location where the first rural branch of the NAACP was initiated in the United States in 1915. This was led by E.B. Henderson and his neighbor Joseph Tinner, who was a relative of Ollie. And they fought a proposed ordinances, and with that was the beginning of the first chapter of the NAACP outside of Washington, D.C. I think that's really wonderful. Then you have Alexander White, who I mentioned to you earlier, and he was actually, he worked in downtown Washington, D.C. as a clerk. And what he did is he was part of the Farming and Forestry Association, which of course we don't have anymore, but that's what he did. And he met his wife, who actually worked for the Department of Agriculture. They would marry later in life, and then they would start buying this land down in Sideburn. What he would do with the land is he actually used it for timber. It was used quite a bit for, obviously people needed a lot of firewood, other kinds of reasons for wanting to have wood. And that's what he did a lot of his work with. He would die right after World War II. His wife would live another 20 years, and then she would sell the Sideburn property. There would be 100 acres on one side, 50 acres on the other, making a total of 150 acres, which is quite large. And that's what they would start developing the area that now is near the Fairfax golf course, Fairfax City Golf Course. And then you had John Pearson, who I had met, one thing when I talked to the family of the Pearsons, one of the things that they were most proud of was all of his children. They were very proud of the children and what had happened to them. And I think sometimes in our excitement of saying, oh, what did you do for that occupation? What did you do for that? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's just the family and what you're able to do. And John Pearson, he lived on Payne Street, which is now called Chainbridge Road. He owned his home. His wife was Jane. Jane was very active in church. Both of them were really very active. And they had extended family that lived with them and really lived a life of service to others that I was very impressed as the more I learned about him. And then Henry Page, who also lived just a street away, he had several children, actually. And he had, let's see, okay. He had a total of 13 children that lived, and the descendants said, I want you to name every single one of them. So here they are. All right. Their names are Clarenton, Maud, Grace, Eleonora, Henrietta, Rosamond, William, Clarence, Bessie, Lottie, Lester, Otis, Nathaniel, and Marie. They all grew to adulthood. And he was listed as a salary worker in private work. So he was a salaried worker and they apparently had also a large garden with their house. And anyway, so that's Henry. And then Otis Wade was a man who Otis. All right, Otis Wade actually came from out of town, came from Maryland. He's from 1886 to 1940. He's listed as a janitor in an office building, but he owned his own house. And he worked on a private estate. We don't know what estate that was, but he did very well for himself. And the obituary is very sweet, talking about his son, Otis Wade Jr., daughter, Edith Wade, family, and how much they all loved him. I mean, can't get much better than that. Then you have James Collins. And James Collins, he was the third son of Collins Sr. And they were not able to have any children, but after his brother Joseph's death, if Joseph's brother Norman died, they went ahead and became legal guardians of those two girls. And he worked at the Rosaline Gas Company in Arlington with his brothers. He purchased many parcels of land, especially around the Pines of Merrifield. They became deacons of the First Baptist Church until his death in 1945. And then Etta Payne is, we actually go quite a bit of detail into Etta Payne. And rather than talk about Etta Payne, I'm going to ask my friend Etta to talk about him since she knew him.
Okay.
Go for it. Okay, and you can go ahead and get rid of the slides now. Thank you.
He was my uncle, my mother's brother. And he was also one of the children of Reverend Benjamin Payne that I write about in the book. And Uncle Tanner was, before I was born, he was driving the school bus to the segregated school in Manassas, Virginia, is what I was told. That's in the book. He was also a deacon in the Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Fairfax. And I remember him and all of my mother and all of them being a big part of that church. The old church used to be up across from City Hall. And Uncle Tanner also worked, he and his wife, and Jenee, worked for, what were the names of the people up there in the, Jenee, in Fairfax, this family that they worked for up there.
Oh, it was the
McCandless family. McCandless.
Yeah,
McCandless family.
Yeah, McCandless
And
family.
the Pritchards and the Petersons.
And so they were very well, they worked there for years. I remember seeing them going to work, driving to work there, and then coming home. And, they were very well respected. He was. But, and let's see, he had 7 children. Yeah. And so I remember him well. He was a very nice and very well respected man.
Thank you. And that's all our question. That's everything. And I'm right now saying if somebody wants to have an autographed copy, I have them at my house. So I'm giving you my text number. If you send me a text, I will send you my address because we sat down and we signed a whole bunch of them. So otherwise you can just go to Amazon and get them that way. But if you want to have an autographed copy, you can get it this way. All right. So back to you, Nikki, for questions.
Thank you so much. So we have, I think Ms. Lenore has her hand up for question.
That is correct. I wanted to know if you had the name of Henry Page's wife who bore those 13 children.
Oh,
Just wanted to hear her name mentioned.
it's in the book. Yeah.
Okay.
Aurelia. Her name was Aurelia.
Aurelia. Okay. Thank you.
Relia. Aurelia Page.
Yeah. Aurelia Elizabeth Horton Page, 1885 through 1948.
And let me just say again, I'm not an avid reader, but I'm all about historical information, Black history in particular. I go up to the African American History Museum just to walk around and just see what's going on. But this book right here, Black Communities of Fairfax, never knew it was needed until I read it. So, and it's very informative, very entertaining. Entertaining in the sense that you're watching history, you're seeing pictures, you're seeing the pioneers of the Black community here in Fairfax. A lot of you all know, just by virtue of movies that we've seen, what it was like during Jim Crow and what it was like during those times. And to be an honest Black person and an outspoken Black person and a community leader, and that was not an easy job. It was not an easy job to do. So I suggest get the book, but do they have any more questions for these ladies? I mean, this is it.
I have a question. Thank you very much for that presentation, and I already have a copy of the book, and I'm looking forward. Got it a few days ago. I'm looking forward to reading it. You mentioned different kinds of jobs that African Americans had, and it seemed like, you mentioned different artisans and craftsmen. You mentioned working for the federal government. So 2 questions. What other jobs were common for African American men? And then what jobs did women have besides taking care of the home and running everything in the home?
Well, way back, I just remember, for instance, my grandfather, who was the minister, he owned a farm up in, they called it Legato. It's off of Legato Road. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's up where Fairfax Mall is now. He owned a farm up there. So there was a lot of farming down there, agriculture. People just had their own farms. A lot of people did. And a lot of people worked on, from what I can, just doing the research, a lot of people worked at what they called mills, like they would cut down lumber mills, I guess. A lot of people did that type of work, a lot of men. And and the women way back, they were home a lot. They were homemakers. For instance, my grandmother was a homemaker. That's what she did. But a lot of them began to, as time went on, they began to take jobs, women working as maids, But there were some people as time went on as well who got government jobs, because a lot of the men who fought in the First World War and the Second World War, after they got out, they were able to get a government job. So a lot of them did that type of thing as well. And some of them owned, as Rhonda can talk about that. Was it your great-grandfather who owned a store, Rhonda?
Yeah, he actually owned a bar kind of place, kind of like a bar and a store, but he also owned property, and he rented out properties to friends and family. So,
I think,
but a lot of people, in my research, I realized that even though they had like maybe a 3rd grade education, or if they had an education at all, they all tried to do some sort of business for themselves to create an income. And, the wife would do laundry, or they would do sewing, or they would take care of kids of, family members. So another family member can go work and that kind of thing. But that's just all in my research. I'm not sure if it's in the book.
I have a
Thank
question.
you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question. These gentlemen right here, as you were talking, I did some research. I wish I would have kept it, but they were into education. They started an education association for colored children. And the question I had was, whatever happened to those organizations, 1, and 2, are the descendants of these gentlemen still here? I know there's some Tenners here and some Hendersons and things, but it seems like these are the founding fathers of Black Fairfax. So the efforts that they had initiatives for, are those still in existence in some kind of way? And are the families still here?
I want to answer one. I believe I went to a book signing. E.B. Henderson's, I believe it's his grandson, wrote a book called The Grandfather of Black Basketball. So he still lives in the area. Actually, he's in the Falls Church area. I think he has an organization, but I don't know if it's linked to
It's he has Tenor Hill. He has Tenor Hill.
Tenor Hill, yes. But she was speaking of the organizations. I don't know of any organizations that were linked to the ones that they had in the beginning of the process. But I know he's still active and writing books and telling his grandfather's story.
I think one of the nice things is, as you can kind of tell, my job was just kind of putting it together. And there were a couple of people like Rita and Etta and, Rondia, would they say, call this person. So you'd call this person. And it was really nice to realize, because you have to realize that these communities kind of started going away. Was it about 1989, I think, was when finally pretty much everything was sold out of School Street. And once people start moving, like, for example, Etta lives now in Leesburg, Rita lives in Manassas, Rondia lives in Manassas, Linneall, her family went to DC. And I think that was as much as anything. People, by the time those communities completely were bought out, it's been nice to have them come back together for this book.
So I've got a comment or a question. So I grew up in DC along MacArthur Boulevard, and right behind my street was Old Chain Bridge Road, which connects MacArthur Boulevard with Foxhall Road. And that was a street that was settled by free slaves. And there's still there today a African-American cemetery at the corner of Old Chain Bridge Road and MacArthur Boulevard. So I realize this is a stretch. We're in Fairfax County, but I'm just sort of curious if you do overlap with African-American history outside of Fairfax County.
Well, Chain Bridge Road went all the way from came all the way from Woodbridge or Quantico. And that was at one point, that was the only way you could get into DC, was go Chain Bridge Road. And it was this rickety bridge, I'm told. I don't know, we don't have much in there about the Chain Bridge Road, but yeah, it went all the way to DC. That was how people got there, because 14th Street Bridge wasn't there all the time. Neither was Memorial Bridge. So I'm sure that there's some history there, Chain Bridge Road.
Linneall, do you know much about that? Having lived in DC?
Yeah. Who was the young man that just spoke? The person that just spoke earlier about Chain Bridge Road?
Arthur Purvis.
Mr. Arthur, that I believe if we're talking about the same location, because I'm from DC, where the Chain Bridge Road picks up, we have extended family there. That's the Carter family. I believe they were free African Americans in our community. So there is a free African American community over there, and it was the Carter family. So our families kind of all intertwined with each other. So we have, like Jenee said earlier, so we have some ancestors that were part of the free Black community that merged away outside of Fairfax County. So I would not be surprised if some of our family members are buried there as well.
For what it's worth, I live off of Beulah Road, and on Dead End Street, Campbell Road, and my development is called Carter's Grove.
There you go. So I just mentioned the name Carter. Yes, that was a free Black community there. They just had something on June 22nd at the church. There's a church, I believe it's Mount Pleasant Church over there off of Chambers Road, and there is a African American cemetery there, and it's a cemetery that connects to free people of color. So yes, that's the cemetery, the Carter family, quote unquote cemetery.
And there's another little cemetery right next to, I learned this from Tyson's Interfaith. There's a Black cemetery right next to Raglan Road, kind of behind or in the vicinity of West Briar School. It's on the size of a lot that you'd build a house, but it's been preserved because it's a cemetery.
Okay, you don't know the name that's attached to that cemetery? No?
I think it's on Google Maps. So let me look. Your Linneall, your email is in the chat, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me just grab your email. I'll email you after this.
All right. Thank you so much. You have me curious.
I'm sorry. We have a question from Secretary Mike O'Brien.
Yeah, hey everybody. I just wanted to try to make the connection that Jenee mentioned. The first rural branch of the NAACP was formed by folks on Tinner Hill. It was all a housing issue. They were getting kicked out of Falls Church, and they rose up not to do that, and they stayed there. They were able to stay. But that branch, of course, we're a descendant of that branch. Fairfax County NAACP is a direct descendant of that first Falls Church rural branch. I just wanted everybody to make sure everybody knew that.
What happened to that branch? Did it dissolve and didn't just become Fairfax?
Jenee may know better than I do. I know that this Fairfax branch incorporated in 1944. And the original Falls Church branch, I believe, incorporated became a member of the NAACP in 1919. And I believe it's possible that it was just kind of a smooth flow, but I'm not exactly sure how that transition happened.
Nikki, one thing that was really interesting and going on this, you had the NAACP that comes really early in 1915. And then you have all these other organizations, and they really went on steroids after World War II, when those African-American veterans came home. They wanted to have all the rights, and they'd seen the world, they knew what was out there, and they were very, very active in getting organized. Someone once asked me, they said, so what did Fairfax County do to fight, this whole thing about segregation? Because of course we go into great detail about it. It was interesting in reading. There was another organization called the Fairfax County Black Citizens Association, but then there became this other group that seemed to be in the 1950s, and it was called the Fairfax Council on Human Relations, 150.
Jenee, you keep going away from Mike.
Oh, sorry. I spoke away. But there was another organization that was created, the Fairfax County Council on Human Relations, formed in 1957. And they were very active with the churches, going to all the churches and having speeches with all the churches and getting the congregations all on board when segregation, when they were fighting the Brown versus Board of Education that had come out. And so I don't want you to think people were just sitting back. There was a lot happening. People were very active here and knew what to do. They were working downtown. Also, too, I think sometimes, who ran the railroad? Hello, it's the African Americans. They were the ones that were really running it from the time of the Civil War all the way through. And when you talked also about women, I was interested. I saw this picture of a family that was maintaining the Little River Turnpike, because even though it was built in the 1800s, of course, had to be maintained. There's this picture of this woman who was washing clothes with children around her, because of course the men just didn't want men hired. They also needed the support of families to take care of the laundry, feeding, and then of course they would need to bring the children with them. I think sometimes we think, oh, well, you go out to work and you just go by yourself. Well, if you're going to be gone for a few days, no, you bring a whole crowd with you because that's what it takes to support. And there was a lot more movement than I realized that was going on. But anyway, I was kind of, I remember I was talking to Etta and I was kind of proud of what, you know, her ancestors had done, that they had done it through the churches. And that was how they were able to work on the issues that they had.
John, Pam, someone put in the chat that there is a African American cemetery on Collinsworth. Can y'all jot that down and we can talk about how we can get more information on that? The person said I glanced over it, but enslaved people are there as well as free.
Okay, we'll do.
That was me.
Who did that? I'm sorry.
Miss Naylor.
Oh, thank you, Miss Naylor. We may have to keep in contact with you about some of these cemeteries around here.
Okay.
If you know anything about them, we can start making our way to some of these other cemeteries. Okay, we have time for 2 more questions, and Leon Hall, you have the first one. You're on mute. Can somebody take him off mute? Can we take him off mute?
At the beginning of Woodrow Wilson's administration, about 1913, government workers, there were quite a few Black government workers in civil service at that time, and they were ordered to be segregated. And I just wondered if any of the folks in your history were caught up in that. Or as they were ordered, they were ordered to, Black and white people just could not work together. And that was solved by moving the Blacks to the basement or to the back of the room, and they couldn't use the cafeterias anymore, or the same restrooms. I just wondered if any of the people you write about were caught up in that.
On page 155, there is a timeline. And that was during the time when you had trolleys that would go into Washington, D.C. It was 25 cents to take the trolley from Fairfax to Washington, D.C. Wouldn't that be the greatest? But they said in 1904, the trolley from Washington, D.C. to Fairfax, patrons were forced to separate by race at the Virginia border after crossing the Potomac River. When it first started in 1896, that was not the case. And there's actually a story that Marion Dobbins will talk about, a relative of hers down in Merrifield, that one day just didn't want to move. It's a great story.
But was that coming from Washington to Virginia that they had to be separate?
Yes, when they go over that 14th Street Bridge, they would have to change. And but we do have an incident where where that was discussed, and so you'll find that out in another book that's going to be coming out next year.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Okay, hearing none.
Wait a minute. Linneall, I found it's a Carter Family Cemetery in Vienna. I'll send you a picture in an email.
That's it.
And the cemetery on Chainbridge Road, I see it's called the Union Burial Society of Georgetown Cemetery. I never knew it had that name. And I'll send you a map, a screenshot of the map of its location.
Thank you so much. But that's the correct cemetery that you and I were talking about earlier.
And by the way, I've always wondered about this disconnect between Chainbridge Road in McLean and this Chainbridge Road between Fairfax and between Foxhall Road and MacArthur Boulevard. So it's very interesting to me to hear more about that background. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Make sure you order your book. Make sure you order your book. It's a great book. It tells a lot of different stories about Black Fairfax, who lived here, who started it, the initiatives that they started for the betterment of the Black community. And it's very nice to see that the NAACP was not the I would say not the, I don't want to say not the first, but there were other organizations that were like-minded that popped right up here in Fairfax County. So that is some great news, because a lot of us, probably myself, I was under the assumption that without the NAACP, they had nothing else. And it's great to know that they all band together and had organizations for education. I saw one for, when I was looking it up as Miss Jenee was talking, Colored Nurses Association. They had, you know, they just had all types of associations affiliated with that organization that Mr. Tenner and Mr. Henderson founded for education. They had all these affiliate organizations for the Blacks in the community. So thank you, ladies, for coming. If you they left their information, if you all want to contact them. They left you, I think, did you all put the links in for where they can purchase the books? If they have Amazon or your website, please put those links in the chat where they can purchase your books online. We thank you all again. We thank the Clerk of Courts, Mr. Chris Falcon, for coming and staying for the duration of the meeting. We are having our gala. I don't think you were here, Mr. Falcon, when we discussed the gala, but we have our Freedom Fund Gala November 2nd. The sponsorship packet is in the chat. And I'll leave it at that. I'll stay on for all the new members who would like information on joining the winning team. We joining the winning team here and working on some of these committees that we have. If you are not a member of the Fairfax County NAACP, please change that, because the book talks about us. And I'll stay behind for anyone with any questions, issues, or concerns. But thank you all for a wonderful meeting. Get ready next month. Les in the budget committee will be facilitating that meeting. And it's all things finance, all things Fairfax County finance. Les, one more time, who was the speaker for next month?
Mr. Bill Hagen, he's Director of Fairfax County Management and Budget.
Thank you. So that will be next month. That will be next month. That will be next month. And
July 23rd.
July 23rd. Yes, and I believe criminal justice has August, correct? Pratik probably jumped off, but I think he has August. So Mr. Falcon, we may be reaching out to you to do a little spill. Maybe we have criminal justice that will be facilitating our August meeting. So you may get a phone call to be a guest.
I would love to join.
Yes. All right. So if there's nothing else, we are, can somebody make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor? Oh, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Any abstains? The ayes have it. Have a great evening. We will see you next month. I will stay on for the new members or people who are interested in joining. I will stay on